Everybody cooks, but not everybody has access to clean cooking. Some 3 billion people around the world still depend on polluting open fires or inefficient stoves to cook their meals. If everyone had access to clean cooking, we could help solve many of today's most pressing global challenges.
We have almost 80% of our clean cooking, our cooking needs coming from, the traditional use of biomass that is using firewood and charcoal in very unsustainable manner. So therefore, meaning the method of cooking produces a lot of smoke that is not, good for the health, for women and the girl child in particular, and the associated health risks that are associated with it. That is one of the number one disadvantages. And then the second point is that the cooking method is very inefficient on the way we have been using that is traditional way of cooking. That is why I said, the traditional use of biomass. Biomass can be used, in a more modern and efficient way without harming the health of the people cooking, without harming also the environment.
Currently, about half of the world's population still relies on using unsustainably harvested wood fuels to prepare their food on a daily basis. So they will sometimes go out for up to 10 hours a week to collect this wood to prepare food for their families. Families can also use kerosene, some use charcoal, some use dung to be able to do a fundamental thing, which is feeding their families. And so for the world to continue to not address this issue is really unacceptable. And so we're really focusing on helping families shift away from these polluting and harmful sources of energy to ones that are really impacting their health in a positive way, as well as the health of our planet.
Yeah, the urgent communities are the urban areas. Yeah, but then we have not lost sight of the rural areas, because if you look at the urban areas, that is where the demand is. That's where the demand center is. And there are no supplies. And then everybody has to eat anyway. So therefore we have to provide our food. And most of Africa uses biomass, unfortunately, and in traditional manner or in efficient ways. So if you're able to reduce the dependency, on the use of inefficient stoves, using more modern bioenergy sources, as I mentioned, like bioethanol, using biogas and briquettes and so forth. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, in that process.
Across the board in Africa, a lot of families are really still in need for transitioning away from dirty, polluting fuels to more modern and cleaner fuels to prepare their foods on a daily basis. And so I would say across almost every single country in Africa, this is still a major issue. We are seeing increasing access, obviously, in urban and peri-urban areas where people it's easier for them to access modern stoves or more efficient stoves or some of the cleaner fuels as well, including LPG and ethanol and biogas, as well as electricity for clean cooking. So we see really amazing developments in some of the urban and peri-urban area. But obviously, to address this issue, we have to reach these other communities that are further away from the urban centers. And so what we're seeing increasingly, which is really encouraging, is just a lot of innovation from the businesses on how they can work with the families to make these solutions affordable to them, to reach them through distribution networks that we previously hadn't tapped into. And so we're seeing the right trends, but it's not nearly enough to make sure that we reach our development goals by 2030.
The environment in that it is normally the woods that are sourced from the forest, and typically the natural forests, that have been depleted. Of course, cooking is not the only means of, clearing the forest, but it's a contributing factor. And then, as well as the time and energy required to access this firewood in particular, the women and the girl child, and of course the boys as well, even go, and then you have the trucks. Previously, you have the source for firewood very close. You just go to the backyards, but now it's in kilometers, hundreds of kilometers. So all because the forests are disappearing, and then the livelihoods are being affected. Environment is very key for sustainable development. Where we don't have the trees anymore, then we are harming our own environment.
Yeah, so very often people, when they think about climate goals and achieving, for example, net zero or any of the immediate 2030 targets, they overlook the fact that they can't just focus on access to clean electricity. They also have to focus on access to clean cooking, because all of those needs have to be met for us globally to achieve both our climate and our development goals.
By introducing, very efficient stools and more environmentally sound energy bioenergy systems. Here you're talking about promoting more of LPG, promoting biogas, bioethanol, briquettes that are sourced from the already agricultural resources, and so on and so forth.
Some of the technologies we're focused on really provide much more efficient stoves, so they have to use less of the fuels to prepare the food for their families, and so improved biomass stoves. They can shift to biogas. Some families are increasingly using LPG or ethanol for their cooking needs, as well as in some communities we see an increasing shift towards electricity, using electricity for cooking, which is obviously, when the sources there are renewable sources of energy, really the best solution out there.
Hi, my name is Musa Konde. I am from Sierra Leone. I am an ambassador for the Africa Matters Initiative and Thoughts for Food. A clean system of cooking is very important for the future of Africa because it reduces the emission of carbon too in our environment, which is very dangerous to our environmental sustainability, and also increase our chances of achieving Sustainable Development Goal 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Thank you very much.